혹시 어디 신문사에서 나오셨나요?
텔레비 한다고 하셔가지고.
이게 다 들어가는
아니야, 이거 한국에서
다 알아서 할 거예요. 지금
아니요, 보이시면 예, 지난번에 했었죠. 네, 지난번에 했었죠. 시작 소리. 예, 반갑습니다. 건강하다고.
We've got 1 minute to get it all back up.
자, 요거 잡고 쓰세요. 여기 앞에 이렇게 잡고 들고 앞까지 나오세요. 잡고 있어야죠. 바람. 아니 뒤에 있는 분들 잡고 쓰시라고. 또 넘어가요. 바람. 나와서. 아니 나와서 여기 앞으로 다 나오세요.
그렇게 안 해도 돼요.
자, 여기 바람 불면 넘어가는 거예요.
거기 앞에서 마이크 하나 갖다 놨거든요. 혹시 보셨어요? 그 요만한 마이크 하나 갖다 놨어요. 거기 잘 들어오는 거 같아요. 아니면 뭐.
여기 부장한테 붙잡아도
잘 들어와요. 제가 조금 붙어도 될까요?
저게 스피커들도 여기 좀 얼굴 좀
지금 됐어요.
Thank you for coming today. We really appreciate your presence. I'm Wendy Wright. I'm president of Christian Freedom International. Thank you for coming today. We appreciate your presence. I'm Wendy Wright, president of Christian Freedom International. We help persecuted Christians around the world, and it's really our honor to participate in this press conference today to bring attention to the plight of North Koreans who are able to escape a national prison, made it to somewhat of freedom into China on their journey to a free country. But over 2,600 North Koreans who are able to escape are being held in detention in China now. There are many others who are at risk. And our great concern is that China will forcibly return them to North Korea, where it is known what North Korea will do to them who have fled. And we're really calling on China, and we're calling on Xi Jinping to have mercy and to not forcibly repatriate North Koreans who have been able to escape. Today we will be hearing from some prominent speakers. We're especially honored to have Congressman Chris Smith, who came back from his home district just to participate in today's event. We'll also hear from a delegation that came all the way from Korea. And as we listen to them, this will lead up to then delivering a letter to the Chinese embassy calling on Xi Jinping and the Chinese government to not forcibly repatriate North Korean escapees. Thank you again for participating today. We will move this along quickly to give you an order of the events. We will begin by saluting the national flags. We'll sing the national anthem. Then we will have just a moment of a silent tribute, paying tribute to the patriotic martyrs and the Korean War UN forces from 22 member states. Then we will lead off with hearing from Congressman Chris Smith, and then from other speakers who will introduce themselves as they come forward. So let us begin with saluting the national flag, with the Pledge of Allegiance. The American flag is in front here. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the national anthem. Now just a moment of silence as we remember those who gave their lives. Now we will hear from Representative Chris Smith.
Wendy, thank you so very much. First of all, I've known Wendy for several decades. I want to thank her for her extraordinary leadership on human rights, religious freedom, all human rights issues, and she's been such an inspiration and a true superstar around the globe. Thank you, Wendy, for that leadership. Let me just briefly about me. I happen to be the chairman of the Congressional Executive Bipartisan Human Rights China Commission. It is bicameral. It includes executive branch leaders. My chief of staff is right here. His name is Piero Tazzi. He speaks fluent Chinese, and he's been an enormous leader and help in making sure that we promote the human rights issues in general, and now this extraordinarily important issue of forced repatriation of men and women who made their way out of North Korea into China. We're not happy with the way they were treated in China. The detentions have not been good, but their plight is about to go from bad to worse as North Korea opens up post-COVID and is allowing more and more things to happen, including the issue of transportation, the airports sending their athletes. So this openness also provides a dire threat to the upwards of 2,600 and maybe even more people who fled North Korea into China. I would say to all of you, we've worked with the United Nations. Elizabeth Salmon has suggested She says that at least 2,000 of these detainees are facing forcible repatriation. And a couple of months ago, I met with the Secretary General Gutierrez of the United Nations for an extended. He used to be the High Commissioner for refugees, so he understands the Refugee Convention front and center, backwards. He was in charge of the UN agency, and I appealed to him back where there's a very clear imminent threat to their well-being, and that threat is just, I think, awful. The 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugees, Article 33, and the PRC acceded to it on September 24th, 1982. It says that no contracting state, and that means China, shall expel or return a refugee to a country where their life or freedom would be threatened. This article is generally interpreted to apply not only to formally acknowledged refugees, but also those whose refugee status has not yet been determined. Therefore, if these North Korean escapees are forcibly repatriated, the PRC would be violating with impunity its obligations under the Refugee Convention by categorizing them as economic migrants or illegal immigrants. They have to determine, there needs to be a process, and I think it is as clear as it could be that all of these men and women will face gulag. They will go to the camps. Many will be terminated, they'll be killed, executed. So we are appealing to the Chinese embassy, and by extension, Xi Jinping himself, to abide by international law. You've agreed to it, now abide by it. Show that you're a leader, that you do not crumple when Pyongyang says, send them all back. And that's our biggest fear. Over the years, I've chaired 79 congressional hearings on human rights abuses in China. 8 hearings I've chaired on North Korea. We are deeply concerned in the Congress, it is bipartisan, about this move now to send these people to a horrific fate. Every one of these refugees, and everybody here who has love and compassion and concern for them, every one of these refugees have hopes and aspirations, a life story, loved ones. We care about them. We're calling on the ambassador, we're calling on here in Washington, we're especially calling on Xi Jinping, abide by international law, send them to a country that will welcome them. South Korea, the United States, some other third country, not to North Korea. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. I just want to emphasize that Congressman Chris Smith has been the leading congressman from the moment that he arrived in Congress many decades ago, leading congressman on human rights issues. What he says matters, and so that's why we're especially glad and thankful for your presence here today. And next we will hear from Esther Kim.
Good morning. I, Esther Kim, as a retired teacher and active member of the North Korea Freedom Coalition, stand here for only one reason: to help rescue many North Korean escapees detained in Chinese prisons. The fate of hundreds of poor North Korean escapees kept in detention centers in China, especially in Yanbian province and Inner Mongolia, will soon be up to President Xi Jinping. President Xi, I so sincerely beg you to free them from prisons and send them to South Korea and the United States, where they will be welcomed with open arms, and help them resettle there by providing housing and settlement money. These refugees need not be a burden on China. President Xi, as you know well, these were innocent refugees just seeking a better life. No threat or danger to China. As a human rights perspective, their only crime is to seek freedom. President Xi Jinping, you desire China to be the world leader and promote human rights and maintain peace and security in the world. Please, please, simply uphold and honor China's international treaty obligations and allow these refugees safe passage to South Korea and United States of America and other free countries. China is a signatory to the 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugees and its 1967 Protocol and the Convention Against Torture. I fully understand that these North Koreans entered China illegally by crossing Yalu and Duman rivers, and no one disputes that China has absolute right to protect its borders. But it is well documented that horrific fate that these poor women, men, and children face when they are sent back to North Korea. President Xi Jinping, I know you're a family man, that you love your children and grandchildren. These helpless detainees are also somebody's mother, father, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, and grandparents who love to be reunited with their families in South Korea and seek a better life. Furthermore, these children, women, and men are citizens of South Korea under the Republic of Korea's constitution and can be quickly resettled there. President Xi, please have mercy on these poor, helpless human beings and send them to South Korea and other free world. There is nothing to gain by keeping them locked up. Thank you. 谢谢.
Hello, my name is Samantha Fletcher. We are all gathered here today due to the inhumane treatment of the North Korean refugees in China. If they are sent back to North Korea, it is most likely a certain death. China needs to stop the deportation of North Korean refugees.
Hi, good morning. My name is Justin. I really appreciate everybody came out here for supporting North Korean refugee freedom inside North Korea and outside. And for my brief instruction, 34 years old. I came here in the United States in 2009 from North Korea. I lived in China for 3 years. I came out here. I was so angry that China is still doing inhumane things, savage things, like sending North Korean refugees. Let me tell you one thing. How many Chinese refugees in the United States take away their belongings, send them back to China? We never done anything. Why you guys are still doing inhumane things? And you said that you are civilized. That's not civilized. The country should have done. And North Korean dictators are bad. You know what? You are 1 trillion times worse than North Korean dictator. He doesn't have any choice. You have a choice to do either good or bad, but you choose to do evil things. That's more worse than like a serial killer. You are more worse than serial killer. You should have never done that or thinking about it. When I was in China, one of the taxi driver drive me directly to Chinese police. So I was nearly sent back to North Korea. Because of the grace of God, I saved. I'm here. I never done. You know how many times I tortured in jail for nothing, for my freedom? And you guys are supporting that. You Chinese government, listen up. You are so savages. Stop doing the savage things. If you think you're a decent government, civilized countries, you should stop doing that. This is only the uncivilized country doing that. Only in the North Korea, China, of course you guys are always doing evil things, and Russia. Listen up, China. Do some decent human things. Stop doing evil things. North Korean refugees, they are humans. They deserve freedom, okay? And think about that's one of your family members. Are you going to say, oh, they going back to death camp, I'm happy. Are you celebrating them? Are you asking them for, can I give money? I'm sending my family to death camp. Are you celebrating them? Are you happy there? No, of course not, because they are not your family members. You are happy to doing evil things. Okay? Once again, I will never stop supporting you unless you supporting my people. And right now, look at your embassy position. It's in the heavenly spots. And why you guys deserve good things? Why are you doing evil things to others? Stop doing evil things. Do good things. Xi Jinping, Who do you think you are? You can do bad things to people. Do you think you are God? No. Do some good things. You will get punished if you keep doing that. Okay? And again, I really appreciate everybody, and especially the men serving over there, security members. They just take their time and protecting you. Are you ever, they came out and thank you, and did you ever buy the copy to them? You never doing anything. Do some decent human things. Come on, China. Again, stop doing evil things. Stop sending North Korean refugees. They're seeking for freedom and for lives. Send them back to their death sentence. Thank you.
I am from the South Korea, and my name is Seung Kim. On the 30th of last month, the North Korean Human Rights Information Center, NKDB, argued the China Commission, CECC, to hold a hearing titled North Korean Refugees and the Imminent Danger of Forced Repatriation to China. Throughout the hearing, it was revealed that the detention centers in China for the North Korean refugees have been expanding, despite the UN's recommendation that the Chinese government stop the forced repatriation of North Korean refugees to North Korea. Media reports continue to emerge that the forced repatriation of 2,600 North Korean refugees detained in Chinese detention centers is imminent. China is a member of the UN Security Council and a signatory to the UN Refugee Convention and Protocol in 1982, and the Convention Against the Torture is 1988. According to Article 1 of the UN Refugee Convention, refugee is defined as follows. A refugee is a person outside the country of his or her nationality who, because of a well-founded fear of being persecuted, and is unable to avail himself of the protection of that country. Currently, North Korea is experiencing a severe food crisis. In addition, North Korea ranks first in the Global Enslavement Index, in the Christian Persecution Index, and the lowest in the world in the Democratization Index, in the Economic Revitalization Index, and the freedom and human rights of North Korean people are seriously violated. And in light of the definition of a refugee presented in Article 1 of the Refugee Convention, North Korean refugees are recognized as UN refugees. In the early 1960s, the Chinese government signed the agreements on the repatriation of smugglers with North Korea. China is a member state of the United Nations Security Council, must adhere to the principle of prohibition of forced repatriation under Article 33. Paragraph 1 of the Refugee Convention, which states that refugees are prohibited from expulsion or repatriation to the borders of territories where their lives or freedoms may be threatened in any way. There is an obligation to abide by it, and refugees who defected from North Korea must never be forcibly repatriated. Above all, North Korea regards North Korean refugees who have been forcibly repatriated to North Korea as defectors and punishes them severely, comparable to political prisoners. According to the 2023 reports on human rights in North Korea by the Ministry of Unification, North Koreans face severe human rights violations such as torture, detention, forced labor, and execution when caught by the Chinese government or forcibly returned to North Korea. About 80% of women are victims of human trafficking and are exploited in the sex trafficking. The Chinese government's forced repatriation of North Korean refugees who have left for freedom and life to North Korea, engaged in the North Korean dictatorial regime's horrific, murderous acts and human rights violations. Do the Chinese governments and officials who send North Korean refugees in this way really know the value of one life? It is no exaggeration to say that North Korean refugees who are forcibly repatriated have a 99% chance of being killed. North Korean refugees are the people who can survive without sending them back to North Korea. But if the Chinese government also forcibly repatriates North Korean refugees, it is responsible for their lives and is no different from a murderer who killed them. The Chinese government should quickly realize this, recognize North Korean refugees as UN refugees, and stop forcibly returning them to North Korea.
I deeply appreciate to all of us now standing for those Korean defectors. This is the statement of this press conference. After reading this statement, we will deliver to Chinese embassy, and also we will ask them to send this statement to Xi Jinping of China. China joined the UN Convention relating to the status of refugees in 1982, but has never officially granted UN refugee status to any North Korean defectors to this day. Article 33 of the UN Refugee Convention states that no contracting state shall expel or return a refugee in any manner whatsoever to the frontiers of territories where his life or freedom would be threatened on account of his race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group, or political opinion. Article 3 of the Convention against torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment also stipulates that no state party shall expel, return, or extradite a person to another state where there are substantial grounds for believing that he would be in danger of being subject to torture. According to the testimonies from many defectors who have been repatriated to North Korea from China, they face severe torture by North Korean authorities, confiscation of all their money and possessions, and particularly pregnant women are subject to forced abortion and infanticide. After torture, they are often imprisoned or forced into a political prison camp where they may die from overwork, starvation, diseases, and their aftermath. Those who attended churches in China or possessed Bibles are often charged with espionage and can be sent to political prison camps or even executed. Since January 2020, North Korea has closed its borders to prevent the spread of COVID-19, leading to even more dire human rights abuses against defectors in China. Due to the border blockade between North Korea and China, more than 2,000 North Korean defectors who were arrested by the Chinese police are being detained in the northeast province of China. In addition to this, as the control due to the COVID-19 was lifted, about 500 North Korean defectors who desperately tried to escape the south of China to cross the Vietnamese borderline were arrested by Chinese police at Vietnamese borderline, and now they are detained near Nanning, China. So currently, a total of around 2,600 defectors are in an urgent situation, uncertain about when they might be forcibly repatriated. When the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics were held, due to the suppression of Xinjiang Uyghur minority human rights abuses and human rights violation in Hong Kong, many countries, mainly the United States and Europe, did not participate in the Beijing Winter Olympics. And as a result, human rights violations in China have become a hot international topic. Now, ahead of Asian Games held in Hangzhou, China on September 23rd this year, the Chinese government continued serious human rights violations against North Korean defectors, and the large-scale forced repatriation of 2,600 North Korean defectors are coming up to the international judgment. I honestly ask international media and journalists to inform the world of Chinese forced repatriation of North Korean defectors and their harsh human rights abuses. Media around the world should actively cooperate to prevent such anti-humanitarian atrocities from occurring in China anymore. Through such cooperation from the international communities, more than 2,600 North Korean defectors should be recognized as UN refugees without being forced to return to North Korea. Therefore, I sincerely hope each of them can freely go to the country they want. And I urge people all over the world to rise together for this issue. On August 23rd, 2023, U.S. Citizens Association against the forcible repatriation of 2,600 North Korean refugees. Thank you for your listening.
안녕하세요. 저는 스타리입니다.
Hello, my name is Pastor Star Lee.
저는 한국에서 태어나서 한국에서 34,000명의 탈북민 사역을 하고 또 탈북민 구출 사역을 5년 동안 했던 경험이 있어서 나누고자 합니다.
Well, I'm from South Korea, and when I was in South Korea, I ministered to 34,000 North Korean defectors, and I also have an experience of 5 years of experience of saving and rescuing North Korean refugees. So I'd like to share a couple of comments with you guys today.
지금은 미국에 살고 있고 미국의 시민권이 되었고 또 미국 안에 있는 탈북민들을 돕는 사역을 하고 있습니다.
And currently I live in the US and I became a US citizen, and now I am helping North Korean defectors living in the US.
저는 지금 중국 감옥 안에 있는 2,600명에게 드리고 싶은 말씀이 있어서 이 자리에 섰습니다.
I'm here to share a message with the 2,600 North Korean refugees who are currently detained in China.
여러분들이 지금 제 이야기를 듣지는 못하겠지만 이제 감옥에서 나오셔서 여러분들이 자유를 가지게 될 때 우리가 여기에 있는 우리가 여러분들을 잊지 않았다는 것을 듣게 될 것입니다.
Although you guys can't really hear my message right now, when you finally get your freedom and come to a free country, you will finally understand that we never forgot about you guys, and we always stood with you guys.
여기에 있는 한국에서 온 우리 한국인들, 우리 미국 시민들 모두가 다 여러분들이 자유의 몸을 가지기를 간절히 바랬고 그랬기 때문에 우리는 이 자리에 나와서 여러분들이 무사히 석방되기를 간절한 마음으로 같이 이곳에 있습니다.
Well, you will know that South Koreans and Americans stood for your freedom. So when you finally became free, you will understand that we're all here supporting you.
지금 감옥 안에 있는 여러분들은 아무런 죄가 없습니다. 북한에서 태어났다는 이유만으로 정말 못 먹고 그리고 생존의 위험과 인권의 문제 때문에 여러분들은 자유를 찾아서 나온 죄밖에는 없습니다.
For those of you guys who are currently detained in China as North Korean refugees, you guys did nothing wrong. You guys suffered from starvation, human rights violations. All you guys wanted was freedom.
그렇기 때문에 우리 모든 미국 시민들은 이 일에 대해서 여러분들이 무사히 나올 때까지 우리는 멈추지 않고 이 자리로 나올 것입니다.
Therefore, we American citizens will continue to stand with you guys until every single one of you get your freedom.
저희들은 존경하는 시진핑 대통령과 모든 중국의 리더들 그리고 모든 국민들은 정말 이들이 자유의 몸이 되도록 도와줄 것을 굳게 믿고 있습니다.
We believe that President Xi and Chinese leaders, and including Chinese people, will give freedom to these North Korean refugees in China.
그리고 오늘의 이 모든 소식들이 모든 언론을 통해서 전 세계에 알려져서 바이든 대통령과 전 세계 모든 대통령들 그리고 미국에 있는 상원, 하원, 의원 모두가 여러분들이 자유롭고 인간다운 생활하기를 간절히 바라고 있으며 여러분 모두가 안전하게 나오게 돼서 우리를 만나게 될 것입니다.
And I hope that our event or demonstration today will spread through media reports, so the world leaders, including the President Biden and also U.S. members of Congress, will also support your freedom so you guys can also come to free country with safely.
그때까지 우리 모든 미국에 있는 교회들과 전 세계에 있는 교회들은 마땅히 감옥에 갇혀 있는 여러분들 2,600명을 위해서 기도하고 또 이 일의 주권자가 되셔서 여러분들을 자유롭게 하실 하나님께 기도해 주시기를 부탁드립니다.
Until then, churches around the world, including in the U.S., will continue to pray for your freedom, pray to God, who will eventually give you guys all freedom. Thank you.
Go ahead, say what the letter said. Say what the letter says, and then we will deliver it.
예, 우리가 지금까지 이상으로 우리들 발언자들 내용이 마쳤고 우리는 이 서한을 이제 대사관을 통해서 중국 정
Speakers finished speaking, so now we are going to deliver a letter to the PRC embassy.
Johnny, what does the letter say?
You mean the context of the letter?
Yeah, the context of the letter. That's what you read. Okay, mention that it was his statement.
So the letter that we'll be delivering to the PRC embassy is the statement that Professor Lee just read.
Okay.
우리도 다 같이 한번 사진 한번 찍고 마치죠.
We'll take a picture first.
지금 전달하는 게 좀 하시고
전달하는 거 먼저.
The statement that he gave. Oh, that was just
떼만 한번 보여주세요.
제발.
윈디라.
아니면 뭐 구호를 외치실 건 없죠?
네.
자, 얼굴도 좀 보여주세요. 내려서 사진 찍습니다. 저분부터.
Wendy, we're going to wrap up the last comment. Yes.
랩업 하기 전에 저부터 전달한다는 거예요.
같이 가시죠. 오케이.
보도자료 깨끗한 거 하나 주세요. 저기
시간 앞쪽으로 갈 거예요. 전부 다 따라가 주세요. 같이 가세요.
아니.
이쪽으로 해서 전달해주고 그냥 끝날 거예요.
I sent you
누구랑 같이 가요? 웬디? Mary, please, I need you, please. Mary, please. Could you go with Professor Lee? Let me hold that one. You are with Please, Samantha, please. Yeah, but that's it. Okay. Sean. Okay. So we're gonna go walk together with Cookie. Okay. Really? Yes. Okay. Sean, 이거는 나야지. 팔로우. 그래도 나야지.
윈디라이. 윈디야.
Hello? Hello? We are now delivering our as I expected, as always, at the embassy we are never easy. That's what they want. Look at this.
Not responding. Okay.
I mean, we were speaking, one guy came out with a laughing, smiling. That's what the China always.
Look at them. They just ignore it. We saw them.
Then how about the call this one?
They don't do anything.
This one.
12:30. You could take your letter and just the letter, not the envelope. Push it or something. Yeah. And yeah. And drop it off there.
Since there is no response, so we'd like to put this statement into the mailbox here.
It's been delivered.
Okay, thanks.
Just emphasize again, we simply dropped off the letter that you read.
Yeah, we simply drop out our statement to the mailbox of the China embassy, and we hope this is well delivered to the government of China, even to the Xi Jinping, and they make a right decision for the 2,600 North Korean defectors. Thank you for all your cooperation, and your shouting will save North Korean defectors. Please continue your stance. Thanks so much. God bless.
그냥 사모님 찾으시면 사진 찍을 때 저를 찍으면 Good, you're South. Huh? You speak so good. Thank you. 성교. 성교사님. 끌까요? 아니면 계속 그냥
아직 끝났어.
네. 아직 안 끝.
자, 여기 다 끝난 게 아니고 마지막으로 우리 시위를 한번 하면서 구호를 외치면서 여기를 한 바퀴만 돌 겁니다. 그래서 세이브 노스 코리아 이렇게 하면서 할 거니까 우리 여기로 이렇게 줄을 따라 이렇게 서주시고, 네, 들고 들 수 있는 거 들고 이렇게 한 바퀴 돌고 가겠습니다. 예, 우리 자, 우리 영어로 누가 통역 좀 예, 여기에서요, 여기서부터 우리 같이 들고 세이브 노스 코리아 하면서 저 밑으로 해서 이렇게 한 바퀴 돌아올 겁니다. 다시 이쪽으로 오셔가지고 요거까지 하고 마무리하겠습니다. Everybody come follow me and then we just shouting south save North Korea and then we just walking around this way and coming back.
차 트렁크 잠깐 가셨어요.
받았나봐. 힘이 안 차. 승희가 이걸 좀 잡아줘.
Yeah, I mean, we're stories of Christians and
자, 여기서 이제 우리 외치면 따라서 합니다.
Yeah, you guys can incorporate stuff, politics, issues.
we're the DC here.
자, Save North Korea!
Save North Korea!
Save North Korea!
Save
stop North Korean refugees.
Freedom for North Korean refugees.
Freedom for North Korean refugees.
Freedom for real freedom for all human beings.
Freedom for all human beings, including North Koreans. Amen.
God bless America.
God bless America.
Save North Korean refugees in China.
Save North Korea refugees in China.
China, stop sending North Korean refugees.
China, stop sending North Korean refugees.
Xi Jinping do human things. These are human things. Xi Jinping do some decent human things. They deserve human rights.
뒤에서 좀 이렇게 이제 함축 해가지고 그다음에 이제 이런 건물이 여기까지 오죠.
Save North Korea.
Save North Korea.
앞에 저기 미국 분도 좀 하시면 좋겠네요. 앞에 나가서
맞아.
Okay.
Save North Korea refugees.
Save North Korean refugees.
Save North Korean refugees.
They are human beings.
They are human beings.
They deserve to be saved.
Deserve to be saved.
They don't deserve the treatment China gives them.
They don't deserve the treatment.
Save North Korean refugees.
Save North Korean refugees.
China, keep your agreement. You signed the treaty.
Sign the treaty.
Now do what you say.
Now do what you say.
Save North Korea refugees.
China open ears to nations.
China what?
Don't close your eyes, Chinese government. Save North Korean refugees.
Save North Korean refugees. China, open your eyes. See the devastation you caused. Unnecessarily. Save North Korean refugees.
Save North Korean refugees.
No more repatriation.
No more repatriation.
No more imprisonment. No more mistreatment.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
잘하셨어요.
전체 찍었어요. 근데 한 번 더 찍으면 좋을 것 같아요. 그러니까 단체 사진 하나 찍으면 너무 많이 모이셨는데 이 더운 날 한 번만 사진 찍어서 단체 사진. 단체 사진. 그 카메라 어떤 게 더 용량이 적어요? 우리 전부 다.
예, 오늘 정말 많은 분들 참여해 주셔서 감사를 드리고요. 또 계속해서 여러분들 원하시는 분들은 1인 시위라도 오셔서 앞으로도 이 강제 북송 되기 전까지 아시안 올림픽 되기 전까지 나오시면 감사하겠습니다. Thank you for coming everybody this time. So maybe you next time anybody if you want to you can come here and then one people or two people it's okay we do not sending back to North Korea. Thank you.
Chinese government, let me tell you one thing, history about Korea and your history. Your history is like only like 3,000 years. Our history is more than 10,000 years. And then the way you living in Liaoningsang, Heilongjiang-seng, Jilin-seng is our land. Get out of our land. And then you sending back our people out of our land. That's thieves. That's you are robbing our land. And who said that's your land? Your land is only in Beijing. Go back to Beijing. Get out of the Yeongjong, Jirin-sung, Heilongjiang-sung. That's our land. That's Korea land. And you said your ancestor was our ancestors. You don't even know your ancestors. Do some decent human things. Shame on you.
잠깐만요. 우리 사진